Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Broku, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball video. And so there are 15 Dragon Ball Z movies, and there's probably not going to be any more Dragon Ball Z movies for a while, because we're in that Dragon Ball Super era now, guys. But yeah, there's 15 Dragon Ball Z movies. 13 of them came out in a pretty close proximity to each other, and then the final 2 came out just a few years ago. And in honor of the new Dragon Ball Super movie coming out, Dragon Ball Super Broly, I'm going to go through and rank these 15 Dragon Ball Z movies from worst to best. But anyways, guys, please do leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Also, don't forget to turn on notifications to be notified every time I upload. And also check out my second channel, Broku no Hero, where I cover other anime like Black Clover and My Hero Academia. But anyways, guys, let's get into this. Ranking the 15 Dragon Ball Z movies from worst to best. So starting at number 15 is gonna have to be Bio Broly. Now, that's basically because it is Broly's third movie, and I really think that Broly, the way he is, the type of villain he is, he's really a villain that should be for one movie, not 3. And maybe even 2 is okay, but to have Broly back for a third movie when there's just 15, and he's like the only reappearing villain in the movies of Dragon Ball Z, that it kind of got old. And also, like, he's kind of this like weird sludge monster now. I didn't really like the story or the action within this movie, and yeah, I mean, Broly was just not really hype anymore by the time I watched Bio Broly, because I had seen 2 Broly movies already, and I felt like, you know, it was done. There shouldn't be any more. And that leads right into number 14, that's Broly's Second Coming. Now, I really did like the actual first Broly movie, but again, I don't think that there should be multiple Broly movies within, like, there should have been one villain. Keep the movies unique, because I like what I liked about the Dragon Ball Z movies. It's pretty new for each movie, for at least of a villain. But this is the second Broly movie out of 3, and there's actually going to be a 4th one. But the thing with the 4th one is that it's a rehash, it's a new Broly. It's a completely different Broly with a completely different backstory with just some similarities. So that's why I'm okay with Dragon Ball Super Broly. Number 13 was Lord Slug, and you know, I don't hate these movies, guys. The only one I really hate is Bio Broly, but Lord Slug was just boring. Just really boring, terribly boring compared to other Dragon Ball Z movies. Now, it's still a decent movie if it's in its own vacuum, but just comparatively to the other Dragon Ball Z movies, I could barely like even pay attention anymore. I wanted to just pull my phone out and play games on my phone. I did like the whole concept of Lord Slug being a Super Namekian, though. That was kind of cool. There was some cool parts, but ultimately this movie was just, it was just boring, and I couldn't get into it. Number 12 was Dead Zone, and I actually liked the Saiyan Saga era movie. It was pretty cool to see everyone come together in their quest to win or save the day. Goku or Piccolo came, and it was a decent movie. The villain is kind of, I don't really like how it goes. Again, the story is kind of boring, but it's still kind of good, and I think there's a lot more they could have done with it. Number 11 is Tree of Might. Now, I actually used to like Tree of Might way more than I used to, but the whole concept of the Tree of Might, you eat a fruit and you get stronger, it was cool to have Turles, but the thing now, just looking back with what we have now, Goku Black is a way better villain than Turles, as in the way of a Goku lookalike, because Turles looks like Goku. That's been the mystery for a long time. People wonder, why does Turles look like Goku? Is that an evil Goku? Is that an alternate timeline Goku? I mean, he's just a low-class Saiyan, but yeah, just comparatively, the movie's gone downhill just because of how good Goku Black was in Dragon Ball Super. Well, yeah, it was a good movie. I liked the Goku versus Turles fight, but Turles was just kind of boring. And the minor villains in this movie, I thought they were pretty annoying, and it wasn't entertaining to see them fight. Now, number 10 is The World's Strongest. Now, these are getting really into the realm of the movies that I pretty much like a lot. The top 10 of the 15. And so, The World's Strongest, I really like this. It was like an interesting story with this cool scientific lore. And it gave Bulma a place in the story, as in she knew about these scientists, she had learned about them with school, but I think there could have been a bigger role from her in this that could have made it better. Now, she wouldn't have to defeat the villains, but maybe going in there, hacking the computers or something, not being this damsel in distress, because, I mean, she's supposed to be this brilliant scientific mind as well. Now, probably not to the extent or just in the same expertise area as these scientists, Dr. Willow. She doesn't have to be as smart as them, but it would have been cool to see more of her in this movie, just because it would have been fitting for her. But in the end, the villain, Dr. Willow, ended up being kind of meh. He was like in this giant mech with his brain. Wasn't typical Dragon Ball Z villains, but it was a bit refreshing, and therefore that's why I like the movie a bit better. And overall, it's a good, funny movie. Number 9 is Return of Cooler. This was a very interesting movie for me that didn't feel like a typical Dragon Ball Z movie because of the villain. Cooler is like this weird Terminator style like robot now, where he has clones and stuff. That was just weird and interesting, because I remember watching this not too long after watching the first Cooler movie, and I was like, whoa, like, what's going on here? He's kind of like a T-1000. That's what it made me think of when I watched this movie for the first time. And even now, I think of Cooler as the T-1000. But overall, it was cool to see Cooler come back. I actually like Cooler as a villain, and it was great to see Super Saiyan Vegeta joining the fray as a really cool ally. The first time I ever saw a Super Saiyan Vegeta was when I was a kid and I was watching this movie. And it was really cool to see a second Super Saiyan, because at the time I only knew Goku as the Super Saiyan, because I don't know if you guys know my origins with the Dragon Ball franchise. I watched a lot of the movies first before I even read a lot of the manga or the anime, just because of availability within I didn't really have money because I was a kid, and so I'd had to go to Blockbuster and rent the Dragon Ball movie. Number 8 is Super Android 13. I thought this was a cool way of bringing Jiro's creations back, and with some new, cool, powerful androids. I like these androids' personalities. I feel like they were given more personality, not than 17 or 18 or 16, but more than 19 and 20. And that was hard because they had 3 androids here, and they only had 1 movie to give these guys personality, give these guys a backstory, give these guys exposition, and I thought it was done pretty well. And I thought the really cool concept of was Super Android 13, where he basically was like a Super Saiyan, but a Super Android. I really like the design of Super Android 13. I thought it was really cool. And while the story wasn't great, I loved the fights. The thing about Dragon Ball is they can have a bad story, but it can have some great fights, and that can really turn the movie around to being a good movie. Number 7 is Revival of F. I saw this movie in theaters, and while it really should have been better, it was great. The only bad thing is it didn't feel like a movie to me. It feels like an anime TV show. Not because of the anime doing the saga of that. I actually saw the movie before I'd even watched Dragon Ball Super, and I always thought it felt like this didn't feel like a movie. It feels like the anime. But yeah, it was really cool to see Goku and Vegeta both fight Golden Frieza. Have Frieza return in an actual decent way. GT, the way Frieza returned, was pretty bad. Having Frieza return this way was great. And always, Revival F is going to be up there because it was a movie that helped spawn back the Dragon Ball franchise. It brought back the popularity. And it was a good movie overall. I love seeing Master Roshi and the other Z Fighters fight Frieza's army too. That was really cool to bring other people back into it. Number 6 is BoJack. Now mainly, the main reason why I like this movie a lot, it's because of Gohan. It's because Gohan pulls out his cell games out of his ass again. He goes Super Saiyan 2 and he defeats BoJack. Now I love that. I love Super Saiyan 2 Teen Gohan. He was one of my favorite characters. Gohan really changes after the cell games though. But yeah, it was really great. I mean, it wasn't necessarily that great of a story, but I love the fight scenes, and I love Gohan overcoming BoJack. And number 5 is the original Broly movie. I've always thought that Broly is one of the best villains, at least from the first movie, but again, I didn't like the second or third. I thought they should have stopped there. It was a great idea, in my opinion, to bring back the Saiyan heritage. It was a cool plot twist in the end that Paragus was controlling Broly. And I love this huge ensemble of these Super Saiyans fighting Broly, and they all fail, and I love Vegeta's prideful moments when he fights Broly, and then I love his prideful moment when he finally gives Goku the energy, and that lets Goku be able to one-shot Broly with that punch to the gut that made him explode. And yeah, I thought he was a really cool design. He gave this sort of evil Hulk vibe, and I liked that as a kid, and I still like it now. I like the fights, I like the scenery, I like the animation. Overall, good movie, and this makes it so I can't wait for Dragon Ball Super Broly. I'm so excited for it. Number 4 is Battle of the Gods. It's a good story within the movie and has great action scenes. Super Saiyan God looks beautiful, and Beerus is a cool and funny villain who also is just very threatening. And, I mean, I'm going to say it just like with ROF. This is the movie that jump-started Dragon Ball popularity all over again. and therefore it's got a special place in my favorites list. It might not be as high if it weren't for that, but still, I like the movie. I like the good animation. I like the fights. I like the Super Saiyan God. I liked how badass Beerus was. And, you know, that's my Bulma. That's one of my favorite scenes in all of Dragon Ball. It's just a good movie, a decent story, and it jump-started the franchise once again. Number 3 is a nostalgia trip, and that is Cooler's Revenge. This is the first thing of Dragon Ball that I had ever watched, and I immediately fell in love. It was a great movie for even a non-Dragon Ball fan that didn't know much of the series, because this is the movie that got me into Dragon Ball. I've told this story several times on my channel, but back then, when Blockbuster was still a thing, I had a sick day, because I was sick, didn't want to go to school, and my dad didn't have the day off that day, and he's like, oh, I'm going to go to the Blockbuster, what do you want? And I was like, oh, can you get the Yu-Gi-Oh! VHS or whatever? Because you could go to Blockbuster and get a VHS of Yu-Gi-Oh! And you'd have a few episodes on the VHS. And he's like, okay. He went to the store, they didn't have it, he asked what's the next best thing, and thankfully that Blockbuster employee handed my dad Dragon Ball Z, Cooler's Revenge. And no prior knowledge to Dragon Ball before watching this, but I watched it again right after I watched it. I watched it like 6 or 7 times that weekend. It was crazy. I absolutely loved it. I loved Cooler as a villain. I loved Goku as the protagonist. I thought Super Saiyan was so cool. I loved the transformation scenes. I mean, the story really isn't great in this. It's like a copy of Frieza, but I loved the fight scenes. I just absolutely love this movie. Again, it's probably because it's a nostalgia trip, but nostalgia is a part of what you think something is good. Number 2 is Wrath of the Dragon. Now, a lot of you guys will know that I have Tapayan's theme as one of my songs in my videos a lot of the time. It's like at least once or twice a week in my videos where I put his song as the background music, because I love the music. The music is great in this movie, and Tapayan is one of my favorite movie characters of all time. I'd love to see him in Dragon Ball Super or come to the actual main continuity. He's a badass and was just really cool. I love the concept, the story behind this, the lore behind this movie. It was really interesting. I think this was a movie that had the lore, where the lore was very well put into it. It seemed like they cared about putting the lore in it, and it was some cool fights. But this leads to my number 1 favorite movie of the Dragon Ball Z movies, and that was the fan favorite, Fusion Reborn. Now, Janemba is a really interesting and powerful villain with cool sort of hacks abilities, like dimensional stuff, and it was really cool. And this was a movie that was actually really funny as well. It was funny with the failed fusions with Gogeta, where they were the different, like the fat Gogeta, the skinny Gogeta, and then finally Gogeta, the badass Gogeta, where we finally get to see the alternate fusion of him, and he wrecks Janemba like it's nothing. And this was a very interesting verse-expanding plot. Like, we got to see Hell and the afterlife in a greater way, and it was just a really cool movie, really cool concept of how Janemba became a thing. And there was just good comedy, good action, and good animation in this one, and good villain with good ending where Gogeta becomes a thing. So yeah, Fusion Reborn is my favorite movie. But anyways, what do you guys think? What's your least favorite? What's your favorite? What's your ranking? I know a lot of you disagree with me, probably. I doubt there's even one person in my comments who agrees with this list exactly in the way I ordered it. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Also join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. And don't forget to turn on notifications to see every time I upload. And don't forget to check out my second channel, Broku no Hero. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Peace out.